Thanks for staying with us. Now, gold dealing company Men's Gold has defied a directive by the Securities and Exchange Commission to suspend its gold trading operations with the public, arguing the commission does not have the authority to regulate their operations. This comes after the commission earlier Wednesday asked Men's Gold Company Limited to cease trading in gold collectibles, saying their business module of buying gold and subsequently advancing interest to investors in Ghana is in breach of its license agreement. But in a swift rebuttal, the company says its operations do not fall within the purview of the Securities and Exchange Commission's regulatory regime. We'll bring you details of a letter by lawyers of Men's Gold to the SEC. But first, here's a News Desk report.
In its letter to Men's Gold, the Securities and Exchange Commission said the company had been dealing in the purchase and deposit of gold collectibles from the public and issuing contracts with guaranteed returns with clients without a valid license from the Commission. This, the SEC says, is in contravention of Section 109 of Act 929 with consequences under Section 2016I of the same Act. The company was, however, cleared to continue its other businesses of assaying, purchasing gold from small-scale miners and export of gold. The directive led to what some have described as panic withdrawals by some customers when Joy News visited the company's East Legon office following the Commission's directive. A long queue was visible from the company's gates right to their main office. Joy News learns some frustrated customers who had come to withdraw their deposits had to be restrained by officials of the company after they were asked to return later for their monies. But reactions by customers to the Securities and Exchange Commission's letter to Men's Gold have been mixed. One customer we spoke to said he would withdraw all his deposits.
I invested with Men's Gold 1 year now, and when I heard of the percentage they were giving, it looks mouth-watering. So I had to make that bold decision, and then take my money from wherever it was to their company. And truly, when I brought my money, per the agreement we signed, they have fulfilled it so far. But I think last month or so, when the notice came from Bank of Ghana that they should close down, in fact, I panicked a little. So I decided to terminate my contract.
And how much do you have invested there?
I have 100,000. So I take 10%, that is 10,000. Today, one of my contracts is ending. That's about 52,000. And then I had another 40,000. That one I'm terminating. They said if you terminate your contract, they will take 25%. So I'm ready to let go of the 25%. That is 10,000. So I'm taking 30,000. I had already taken 30,000 last month.
But not everyone is withdrawing their monies from the company in spite of the Commission's directive. Another customer Joy News spoke to was of the view Men's Gold was not being treated right by the regulatory agencies.
I've been saving with Men's Gold for almost over 3 years now. Generally, it has been fair, and transaction has been good for the past almost 3 years. The only challenge that we've experienced with regards to Men's Gold, as far as Men's Gold is concerned, is just a couple of weeks ago when they decided to enroll onto the banking system, whereby our interest will be transferred into our various accounts, so that we don't need to come here or walk into their premises to pick up their interest.
If I may ask, how much did you deposit?
Within 3 years, I've deposited almost about 300,000. The information going on social media that Men's Gold is an illegal and no one should trade with them. These issues came up 2 years ago, or let me say 2 years ago, and the same issue is persisting. But if really they were doing illegal business, they should have been closed down by now. They should rather help them go through the right processes so that they can really stand on their feet.
Officials of Men's Gold declined to comment when approached by Joy News, only saying they were in talks with their lawyers on the matter.
Well, in a swift rebuttal earlier Wednesday, the management of Men's Gold Ghana Limited clarified, or they said that it found the leak of its interactions with the Commission, quote, needless, distasteful, and in very bad faith, according to the company. It was disappointed by the release of the details to the public, having been engaged in discussions with the SEC in order to find a resolution to the situation. So it says management of Men's Gold finds it unfortunate that a letter relating to business discussions between the organization and the Securities and Exchange Commission has found its way to the public. Men's Gold, in the wake of the Bank of Ghana warning to the public to desist from doing business with the organization, availed itself to all relevant state institutions for various consultations and dialogues designed to arrive at a productive and sustainable resolution. One of such organizations is the Securities and Exchange Commission, with whom we have been hopeful of arriving at a cordial resolution to all matters. If any, then we submit to its standards. This needless leak, believed to be coming from the SEC, is, to say the least, in very bad faith and distasteful, as it defeats our confidence in the body and an affront to cooperation. We totally condemn it. As a law-abiding organization, we have referred the matter to our lawyers, and rest assured the right action shall be taken. Well, lawyers of Men's Gold have also criticized the SEC and actually accused them of contradictions in their own directive. And I have a copy of the letter with me. It is directed at the Securities and Exchange Commission and signed by Kwame Ekufu, who is lawyer for Men's Gold. And I'll give you highlights of the letter. It says, your earlier letter of 27th August 2018 gave our client a 2-day window to respond to a number of queries. You will recall that pursuant to this, we requested by way of letter dated 29th August 2018 for a 2-week extension to enable us respond in adequate manner. In acknowledging receipt of our letter by way of yours dated 30th August 2018, you were silent about our plea for an extension. We took same to be an agreement to extend, especially when we did not receive any information to the contrary from you. We therefore find it unfortunate that, without waiting for the said time to lapse, nor giving our client any notice whatsoever, but in an unhealthy overreach, you sent to our client a letter with a heading which states notice to suspend trading without license. While the heading of the said letter indicates a purported suspension of trading without a license, the content, however, speaks of a direction that our client's business would be shut down. The contradictions in your directive are for you to resolve, and it makes your intentions difficult for our client to understand or comply with. It continues and says, be that as it may, we are instructed to respectfully inform you that our client's business module, which is essentially that of the sale of gold collectibles, is not one that falls within your regulatory regime. Please be informed that our client is not issuing any tradable note, as you erroneously state in your letter of 7th September 2018. Our client is willing to respond to the queries raised in your letter of 27th August 2018 and would like to respectfully request that you furnish it with the provisions of the Securities and Industries Law that its business and objects fit into and what it requires for the purposes of a license, if any. This request is without prejudice to the rights of our clients. Again, our client reiterates that it is not engaged in capital market activities, and neither does it issue gold-backed depository notes. Under the circumstances, we are instructed to inform you that our client finds your purported directive to shut down or suspend its operations untenable and is unable to comply with the terms of your letter dated 7th September 2018, especially considering the contagion and the effect on the market and its customers. We are available at your convenience for any meeting or discussions to resolve this impasse. Thank you. And so those are extracts of a letter by lawyers for Men's Gold. Well, let's stay on this issue a while longer because the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Obami-Tete, has been explaining to my colleague George Rafi why they issued this directive to Men's Gold.
The point is, if you are engaged in an activity which can be seen as capital market activity or securities industry activity, you need a license. So if what you are doing doesn't, what you're doing represents or has all the character of dealing in securities and you're not licensed, then you are in breach of Act 929. The question, therefore, is what are the remedies that are available under the law? And I'm saying that we'll be coming out clearly on this particular matter.
But does it suggest that that is a derivative trading, or what can it be classified as, any investment, or which kind of asset class is that?
Well, like I said, we'll be coming out with our position. So just watch the space. That's what I'll say.
So you're still watching Joy News Prime. I'm Araba Kumsin. Still ahead, some traders worry they are paying as much as 5 cedis, 20 pesos for the dollar, which is fast losing its value.
What has happened to the promise to arrest the Cedi?
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana says the Cedi depreciation can be attributed largely to external forces.
As a currency, you are pricing it against an international currency like the dollar. So it's not domestic factors. We believe that what's happening has largely been driven by external events that have impacted the Cedi.
Details coming up after this break. You're welcome back. Now, some traders say they have had to pay as much as 5 cedis, 20 pesos, to get $1, the highest the Cedi has ever, exchanged against the dollar. The depreciation of the Cedi against the major currencies is beginning to hit hard, as traders say the situation is affecting their businesses. Checks on the markets show a rise in the price of some major commodities. Nancy Emefa Jadosi just returned from the Nima market, a major food market in Accra, and the Aboso-Kine spare parts hub, also in Accra, and has come through with this report.
The Cedi is not doing well compared to the dollar. Many importers are feeling the pinch because they need more cedis to buy dollars to do business. But that is not the full story. Our checks at the major food markets in Nima show the Cedi is faring badly against other trading currencies.
The currency is getting worse. The CFA is very expensive and the dollar is now 5 Ghana cedis. We are suffering. Now, the Naira is going for 14 Ghana cedis. Initially, it was 7 cedis. He should deal with the currency.
6 cedis, 65 Naira, say 14.
Traders who import food from other West African countries say they have been saddled with debt because they need more cedis to buy currencies like CFA before doing business.
You see, a dollar in the Anyakra, the American family by Twinton. Now
the dollar is too expensive. It's making it very difficult for us to sell. We are incurring losses. Prices have doubled.
Yes, a man first 7 cedis, 8 cedis, no. They say 13, 14.
Dollars no buy them, papa. Self no buy them. Market is soon you.
The dollar and CFA have become very expensive. It has caused low sales. I used to sell 10 bags in a day. It's been 3 weeks and I haven't sold even one.
One day. 3 weeks in the
Spare parts dealers at Aposokai are very concerned about the cedi depreciation because they largely use dollars to import goods. A gentleman who spoke to Joy News says his business has stagnated.
Affecting my business, but the whole of this year, man, to me, import even one car, man, to me, import because yes, can share.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, after 100 days of his administration, noted it had arrested the cedi and given the keys to the IGP. Spare parts dealers are asking Bawumia to show them the keys.
What has happened to the promise to arrest the cedi?
Vice President
Bawumia says he has given the cedi depreciation key to the IGP. Has the IGP traveled?
Vice IGP where to buy? Only Ghana dollar is say.
Nancy Emefa Dradosi, Joy News.
Well, as the Ghana cedi continues to fall at a worrying pace, the Bank of Ghana is blaming the fall on the high interest rates introduced by the American Federal Reserve. Speaking to Koji Yankson in an exclusive interview, Director of Financial Markets at the Central Bank, Stephen Opata, said the poor performance of the cedi is largely based on external factors and not domestic at all.
The general story has been a remarkable turnaround for the economy, where as of May, we saw those remarkable turnaround in terms of inflation trending downwards. Our external sector has improved significantly. We're running a trade surplus. And all of this cumulated in we building reserves as of the end of May by about $300 million. So as of May, we had depreciated just 0.26%. So if you compare this historically, we're doing well. Since around May 20th, there were some changes in sentiments. And this has largely been driven by a resurging dollar, a strong dollar, on the back of Federal Reserve policy normalization. By that, I mean, for a long time since the crisis, the Federal Reserve has maintained historically very low rates. But due to improvements in the U.S. economy, the Federal Reserve started increasing rates. As I speak to you now, this year we've seen 2 Fed rate increases, and it's projected that there will be 2 more. So what has happened is that interest rates in the U.S. has gone up. And because of this, some investors that were chasing yield, they liked the Ghana story, but also the fact that relatively interest rates in Ghana were higher than, say, in U.S., or they were generally higher in emerging markets than the U.S. But because of the resurging dollar and improving interest rates environment, some investors are reverting back to the U.S. dollar. This has put some pressures on not just the cedi, but other emerging market currencies. So I want to situate this discussion in a global context, because the cedi as a currency, you are pricing it against an international currency like the dollar. So it's not domestic factors. We believe that what's happening has largely been driven by external events that have impacted the cedi. The relatively higher depreciation this year, say compared to last year, has been due to mostly external factors that are having, in technical terms, you call contagion effects. They are affecting the currency, emerging market currencies, such as the cedi, the Argentina peso, the lira, the Indian rupee, the South African rands. Actually, these countries have even had even more a significant impact. They are really.
So we've heard from the central bank on what is to account for the free fall of the cedi, but what has the trend been? Norvan Aqua Hayford, of my colleague on the Joy Business Desk, joins me with some year-to-date analysis of the performance of the cedi. So Norvan, tell us, what have you found in your search?
Araba, what is interesting is that if you look at year-to-date, that is September last year till now, you've seen, and you can see from the graph that we have here, you see the cedi, begin somewhere from 4 cedis, 43 pesos, and currently, and this is what the Bloomberg terminal is showing us, at 4 cedi, 90 pesos as of today. So year-to-date analysis, you can see how the cedi has been performing. I mean, it was down, it went up, and then was, you see the way it's been moving, and it's been going up to where we find ourselves now. As of today, that it's been trading on Bloomberg terminal at 4 cedis 90 pesos. But as of this morning in Ghana here, interbank rate that we had, that is the commercial banks, they were quoting 4 cedis 97 pesos. That is how much they were quoting. And of course, if you go out of the commercial banks and then what we call the black market, you could get it at 5 cedis 52 pesos. Remember, even at our ports, if you look at the government agencies who are operating there, each of them have their own rates that they choose. And you cannot just say that we have external factors that are being the reasons why you have the cedi performing this way. There are also internal factors. The fact is we've always relied on short-term measures like pumping in some dollars. Recently, the Bank of Ghana had to put in some $30 million. That is not the solution, Araba. We need, as a country, to move to the medium to long-term measures. That is an economy which is import dependent. We need to move to an export dependent economy, and that is how we'll be able to solve this situation. Remember that under the situation, you have the exporters benefiting from this. They are cashing in. Why? Because so long as they export, they bring in the hard currency, that is the dollars, and so when they change it into cedis, they get more. So any company in this country as of today that are into export are benefiting from what is happening as far as the cedi depreciates, Araba.
All right, many thanks, Norman, breaking it down for us. And what he's saying is that even if you go to the commercial banks, you get it at 4 cedi 97. That's what they're quoting. And on the black market, they're quoting 5 cedis. Still on the dollar, my colleague Jojo Kobina has been examining what has been done so far by both the previous and current governments to resuscitate the obviously weak cedi.
What haven't we done to the cedi? In 2014, the then NDC women's organizer, Anita Disosu, said dwarfs were sitting on the cedi, causing the currency to depreciate. Shortly, the general overseer of the Action Chapel, Archbishop Duncan Williams, also prayed for the revival of the cedi.
I lift up my money right now and I command the cedi. Say, I hold this money in my hand right now. The cedi. Say, I hold up the cedi. I hold it up. Say, I hold up the cedi with prayer and I command the cedi to recover. And I declare the cedi will not fall. It will not fall. It will not fall any further. It goes out. I command the cedi to climb. Say, I command the resurrection of the cedi.
A powerful prayer, but the cedi did not rise. It did not even remain stable. It depreciated further against the dollar. Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, while in opposition, said Ghana had weak economic fundamentals, adding it was the reason the cedi was failing.
The Ghana cedi has obtained the dubious distinction of being the weakest performing currency in Africa at this point in time. Interestingly, the NDC Green Book claims exchange rate stability as one of their unprecedented achievements. In an open economy with market determination of prices, exchange rate movements are the most important indicator of underlying macroeconomic fundamentals. You cannot manage the economy with propaganda. In fact, you can engage in all the propaganda you want, but if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you.
Then in April 2017, Dr. Bawumia, now vice president, said the cedi had been arrested. But this year, the cedi has depreciated further, causing anxiety among people who rely on dollars for trading. So Vice President Dr. Bawumia again revised his note proclaiming the cedi is now depreciating slower than it had pertained since 1993.
The exchange rate of the cedi to the US dollar has remained relatively stable. In fact, despite the recent marginal depreciation, the cedi exchange rate, supported by the relatively stronger fundamentals, has been the slowest depreciation for the first 18 months of any government since 1993.
For now, many Ghanaians are not looking for reasons the cedi is falling. They just want the situation fixed. Are the economic fundamentals still weak.
Hello again, good evening to you. Welcome to Business. Now, some more stories on the Men's Gold controversy, and many customers earlier on Wednesday trooped to some offices of Men's Gold following the announcement that the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has directed gold dealership firm Men's Gold to put a stop to its gold trading business that offers guaranteed returns to investors in the country. Karen Dodu was at the East Legon branch in Accra and now reports.
We're currently here at one of the offices of Men's Gold, which is popular for the trading of gold collectibles. Now, checks by Joy Business have shown that indeed customers are trooping in to make their claims. Now, I entered, and then from enquiries, I realized that some customers have been here as early as 7 a.m. to retrieve their monies. What is being done is that when you enter, you're given the form, then you write down your details, and then any amount owed you is paid into your account. Well, no one has confirmed if that has been done yet, but and that is what these customers are hoping to get by the end of the day. Now, customers are still in there, although the numbers have decreased. We have a number of customers still on the compound, and what is happening at the moment is they're trying to communicate to these customers that their funds are still safe. Now, no management member has come out to officially speak on record, but then what I'm gathering is that they said they are in talks with the Securities and Exchange Commission and are hoping to resolve the issue. There are no security men at the premises. Now it's just the security personnel of the company. Customers are still in there, and the issue still at hand is that they are not being given their money, but they are expected to receive their monies through their bank accounts.
And from Kumasi in the Ashanti region, correspondent Prince Appiah says several customers trooped in to demand their deposits upon hearing news of the directive to the company by the SEC.
So we are here at the Araga branch of the Men's Gold dealership company, and information we are picking up is that as of 28th of last month, the company decided to pay their customers and clients through the banks. So they asked them to bring the bank details for that process to begin. But most of them who are here this afternoon are here because they were unable to receive their monthly due in their bank accounts, and the information and explanation given by the company officials is that they provided incorrect bank details. There were some discrepancies, so they were unable to channel the monthly due through them, and the customers that came here and received those explanations were happy and they were okay with that explanation, and they've been asked to go, and that when they provide the right details, their money is to be paid. And again, a few hours ago, the information that came out that the bank has shut down, some of the clients were here to check whether the company had really shut down, and when they came, explanation given to them had indicated that the company had not shut down and that they are still in operation. What is happening now is that explanation is being given to the client that came around, and most of them are okay with the explanation given to them because they were afraid that perhaps their deposits would go waste.
Meanwhile, management of Men's Gold has assured customers that their investments are safe. This follows the announcement earlier by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
It has been going on for quite some time now, and if you did read their communique, it even stated clearly that sometime in August they were here, and from every indication they have been in communication with us, and despite the unfortunate nature of the statement or the document that was released today, because it was a letter written to us privately and it's not something that ought to have been out there in the public. I'm sure somebody was just playing the mischief and decided to leak it to the public, which was really unfortunate, but our legal advisors, our counsel is working diligently on the matter, and I'm sure at the right time, once all T's are crossed, I's are dotted, we would arrive at an amicable solution. We are positive of that.
Okay. And what is the communication to customers? Because interaction with some of them, it gives me the sense that they don't feel their funds are secured here. What has been the communication so far, and how do you intend to resolve or settle every one of them?
Yes, naturally. I mean, it is their investment, and you don't expect them to be happy when, documents like these leak to the public. But just as we've assured them over the years when things like these have come up. I mean, this is not the first time a communication of such nature is being disseminated to the public, a lot of the times on our blind side. It is very unfortunate. This isn't the time, but just as we've assured them in those past times, in those moments that things like these have come up, we want them to rest assured in us that we're doing whatever it is we can to protect their interest and their investment. And an investment in gold is a solid investment, and that is why we put measures in place to ensure that each and every customer is protected and their investments are safe. I cannot say much except for the fact that they should look at the previous moments where we've had situations like these before and how we've weathered that storm. The organization is going to make sure that this one too is resolved and their investment will be protected.
Let's now view some comments being posted on Twitter by a section of the public on the Men's Gold saga. All right, so we have Lexis. He says, Men's Gold falling off was always going to happen. It was only a matter of time. Now, people that haven't put their money into Men's Gold talk a lot more about it than those who do not, because they want to save you from losing your money, but from a place of making sure they are not the only ones that lose out in case it's genuine. Also here we have Fuad says, why is there a crowd outside Men's Gold? And Kina Likimani is saying, our financial regulators are jokers. So after Men's Gold is allowed to operate for over a year, the SEC is now saying the company's practices are fraudulent, that the company is operating without a license after 1 whole year. All right, we also have some comments coming from Nana Apia Mensah, Fall in All Great Men, and Edward Amwa Sapong. Okay, so we have a lot more of these Twitter comments, which we'll bring to you in our subsequent business bulletins. Let's turn our attention away from Men's Gold now, and now more on the local currency. And the Ghana Cedi has depreciated by close to 7% against the dollar from January to date, bringing the current rate to 4.96 Ghana cedis against the dollar. Now, some analysts project the cedi will soon hit 5.3 cedis against the dollar if the current trend persists. They also blame the Bank of Ghana for the cedi's free fall, as some say the central bank is conniving with black market operators. Odilia Ntiamwa assesses the depreciating trend of the cedi and its effect on the economy.
10 a.m. at Abosokai, and activities here are slow. The cedi depreciation is already biting.
The interbank rate of the dollar against the cedi that was in 2017 was going for some 4.3 Ghana cedis against $1. Today, the forex rates are really going out of gear. As much as 5 cedi to the dollar is what is being quoted at 7 forex bureaus. The people that really get affected are people right here. About 5,000 importers of spare parts here at Abosokai. What they indicate is that, well, their profits are fast eroding, and if nothing is done about it, several of them could lay off certain workers that work with them, or probably even close their shops.
Importers feel the pinch first, from the point where they have to change cedis into dollars to import, then at the ports where they have to get their wares cleared. Ghana charges in dollars for import duties. Importers will have to find the exact amount in cedis and pay. That, for importers, coupled with the performance of the cedi, is just too much.
Even the amounts we pay on duties itself goes higher, because they use the dollar to calculate the duties for us. So basically, it compounds the problem, because when we have to exchange, we have to use more cedis to get the dollar, and then when the goods also comes in, we have to pay more. So at the end of the day, it kind of affects us in a way. It affects us in a way. Besides that, when people normally say that, oh, when it happens like that, we only add up to the price. But here's a case that people are not even buying.
Within a space of 3 months, profits have eroded by close to 60%.
If it goes on like this, a lot of our people or a lot of the businessmen in Ghana will be out of business. Because how long can you keep on adding?
All right, so it's all about stability of our local currency. And the Cedi's Forum, which comes off on Thursday at the University of Ghana, Legon, will try to find lasting solutions to the challenges facing the Ghana Cedi. Key speakers include President of the Ghana Bankers Association, Alhassan Andani, the President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obing, and CEO of Dalex Finance, Ken Thompson. Remember, it starts at 6 p.m. And that's it for business on Joy News Prime. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. Have a good evening.
You're welcome back. Now, board chairman of the Ghana Audit Service, Professor Edward Duajiman, has described allegations of procurement breach by Auditor General Daniel Domelevo as untrue. Mr. Domelevo petitioned the president, claiming the board chair is seeking to take over procurement procedures and is directing staff at the service without due regard to him as head of the service. But Professor Duajiman tells Joy News' Daniel Daze he dismissed the claims.
We have had a meeting with him and we have explained that it's never true. At a board meeting, he brought it up. The board members said he has never even mentioned this to us, so it's never true.
So you did not stop any company from submitting a proposal?
No. It never happened.
In the petition, he says you responded and you admitted this action, but he said the chairman admitted to the offense with the excuse that the law did not exist during his tenure of office as Auditor General, and so you did not know that you were not allowed to do this.
No. That he quoted it. He quoted me out of context at the meeting, at the board meeting. I explained to him that that wasn't the case, and that what he was doing was not the right thing. And the board members, all the board members said, if he had such an issue, he would have brought it to the attention of the board. He never brought this up, so we didn't know what was happening, and therefore there was no truth in that.
You said what he was doing was not the right thing. What was he doing?
Just traveling without telling us, and then insisting that as far as he's concerned, he is not answerable to the board. And we thought that was wrong.
He says he's only playing his oversight role as board chairman and not seeking to interfere with work at the audit service.
Explain to me why they are going there to audit 2007 to 2015. But it turned out that it's not only the 2007 to 2015, but they were also going to audit some 3 contracts in 2017. So I asked them why they were doing that and who gave them the authority, because the Auditor General was not in town. And they told me he sent them there, and it was through this that I called them. So it wasn't interference, but rather intervention of what the Chief Executive Officer in HIA came to tell me.
With what mandate were you intervening as you describe it?
As the chairman of the board, not knowing what was happening, and that the Auditor General was out of the country. So I needed to know exactly what they were doing there, who authorized them to go there, and then audit accounts we have already audited and submitted the reports to Parliament. So I wanted to know why they were going to re-audit 2007 all the way through to 2015.
As the chairman of the board, is it part of your duty to be concerned with the specific audits that the audit service will be carrying out?
Yes, where it has already been done, it's particularly where I was the Auditor General, and I've done it knowing very well that it has been done. I wanted to know why they are going to redo the audits. So I had the authority to be able to know exactly what is happening.
Which part of the law authorizes you to do that?
No, it's not a matter of the law authorizing me to do that. The law, the audit service exists to audit the accounts of the institutions. And as the chairman of the audit service board, the board is responsible for ensuring that the accounts, the audits are done in accordance with the law. We have audited 2007 all the way to 2015. So if anybody is going to re-audit the place, then I have the right to know why they are going to do it, particularly where the Auditor General wasn't in town.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has instructed his secretary to look into the petition by the Auditor General, Daniel Domelevo, accusing his board chairman, Professor Edward Duajiman, of interference. Nana Asante-Bediatuo has also been tasked to report the outcome of the discussions between the two public officials.
Board chairman of the Ghana Audit Service, Professor Edward Duajiman, has described allegations of procurement breach by Auditor General Daniel Domelevo as untrue. Mr. Domelevo petitioned the president, claiming the board chair is seeking to take over procurement procedures and is directing staff at the service without due regard to him as the head of the service. But Professor Duajiman says he's only playing his oversight role as board chair and not seeking to interfere with work at the audit service. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has instructed his secretary to look into the petition by Auditor General Daniel Domelevo accusing his board chair, Professor Edward Duajiman, of interference. Nana Asante-Bediatuo has also been tasked to report the outcome of discussions between the two public officials. Some traders say they have had to pay as much as 5 cedis 20 pesos to get $1, the highest the cedi has ever exchanged against the dollar. The depreciation of the cedi against the major currencies is beginning to hit hard, as traders say the situation is affecting their businesses. Checks on the markets show a rise in the price of some major commodities. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana is blaming the fall on the high interest rates introduced by the American Federal Reserve. Director of Financial Markets at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, says the poor performance of the cedi is largely based on external factors and not domestic at all. Gold dealing company Men's Gold has defied a directive by the Securities and Exchange Commission to suspend its gold trading operations with the public, arguing the commission does not have the authority to regulate their operations. This comes after the commission earlier Wednesday asked Men's Gold Company Limited to cease trading in gold collectibles, saying their business module of buying gold and subsequently advancing interest to investors in Ghana is in breach of its license agreement. But in a swift rebuttal, the company says its operations do not fall within the purview of the Securities and Exchange Commission's regulatory regime.
Now, motorists hoping to access the Kwadaso Market Link Road on the Sofa Line interchange would have to wait a little longer for the road to be fixed. It follows the failure of workers of the China Geoengineering contractors of the project to clear mud following collapse of a retaining wall. Although the workers managed to demolish the 10-meter width wall, which had been hanging loosely, threatening lives of motorists, there's more work to be done. My colleague Ohiming Tewia pitched camp at the construction site and has come through with this report.
The 10-meter-long concrete retaining wall fell on Tuesday night following a 9-hour downpour. Officials blame the absence of an interceptor drain which pushed the wall to slide, forcing the heap of mud onto the road. This means motorists connecting Kwadaso, Ejinase, Dichemunso, Oshimase, Agrek, among others, to the city centre were cut off. In no time, traffic built up behind the walls. Francis Gambra is a regional director of the Urban Roads Department.
What we're going to do is that we are going to bring it down and demolish and reconstruct it as soon as possible to make the place safe. This is a reinforced concrete. Sometimes demolition may take some time. You may even have to import specialized equipment. But what I can assure you is that we are starting immediately. As you see, we are waiting for the contractor to bring down the equipment. So we are going to start immediately. So within the shortest possible time, we should see this thing being reconstructed.
We have an interceptor drain at the top of the retaining wall, which was supposed to construct, but due to the long break for lack of financial support, we are unable to put that interceptor drain. To my boss, to Bedupra, and he instructed that immediately the contractor gets equipment to site. I've spoken to the contractor, and if they are doing that, they've called for their breakers, and we're going to break this wall down. Once we are able to take the wall down, we will temporarily open the road to motorists and then redesign this particular section so that construction work can continue.
It took construction workers several hours to dismantle the wall, which posed a threat to motorists. With the support of heavy-duty equipment such as excavators, the wall was completely pulled down. However, the two-way dual carriageway does not meet safety requirements because it lacks the required signage. Stephen Soshi is quantity surveyor at APB Consult, who are consultants for the projects. He is concerned over the threat posed by the projects to motorists and other road users due to the inability of the contractor to provide enough signages due to lack of funds.
We plan to have all the traffic lights placed, have all the pedestrian crossing and all the road sign, crash barriers. All these have not been put in place, and these are the safety issues on every major road. As we can see, this is a dual road that you need to cross from one end to the other side, and without the safety regulations in place, somebody can get hit. And we had stories of people being knocked down at the Sofo line crossing section here. So with safety, I would say that we are strongly lacking in terms of safety.
Now let's do some politics. In a rare protest against leadership of the New Patriotic Party, members of a group calling itself Volunteer Media Communicators for the NPP burnt their mobile phones in Kumasi. The move, they say, is in protest against neglect by the party. According to them, leadership of the party has refused to reward their loyalty. Nanaya Ojima has more.
The communicators drawn from various constituencies in the Ashanti region converged at the Abbey's Park, clad in party colors, sporting in red bands. They gathered over 50 mobile phones they claim to have used to communicate for the party in the media and set them ablaze. This, they say, is to show their dissatisfaction with the poor treatment from the party leadership, especially in the Ashanti region. Eric Uyafe Akenten is executive member.
It's unfortunate. I don't know, most of our leaders doesn't recognize or, give into respect as to what we the callers does for the party. It has happened for so many years, and I think enough is enough for us to show them our unhappiness towards, the attitude towards us. And so that is exactly what happened, and that is what we did today. In fact, yesterday we went there. We were called by our regional chairman, that is Untumi, to solve our problem for us. And well, I can't say exactly what actually happened. It will take most of the time, so I will leave that one. But what he said in a nutshell, he said we are not important. Who are we? We are just ordinary callers. Some of us, we don't vote. And how can a whole regional chairman, vice chairman, mix those words? At least a problem has come, an issue has arisen. At least say something that will. There's a saying in Akan that anobebre emabato. So at least if you can't do anything to solve it, you don't have to say anything that will infuriate us more. So to tell we callers that we don't mean anything to you, to the party, we are nobody. What do? We don't vote. It's so saddening.
They have since withdrawn their services to the party until further notice. Reporting for Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, a senior United Nations mediation advisor and former Foreign Affairs Minister Emmanuel Bombande is urging civil society groups and religious groups to start speaking against political vigilantism in the country. The former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister says the only way political parties can give true meaning to the legacy of Kofi Annan is to discourage vigilante groups and create an atmosphere of peace. Mr. Bombande was amongst hundreds of diplomats, former ambassadors and dignitaries who thronged the Accra International Conference Center to pay their last respects to the former Secretary General.
Some family members of Kofi Annan from Akwemufie sing after performing some traditional rites to make his journey to eternity smooth. More than 50 members of the Mfantsipim Old Boys Association are also walking to the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center to file past the casket of the former United Nations Secretary General. I've met aspiring flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, Guzi Tano. He left the school in 1973. He says Kofi Annan was a consensus builder.
He was a consensus builder. He was very committed to the UN becoming an important and effective tool in global affairs, especially curbing the excesses of some of the bigger powers.
Outside the auditorium, I've met a senior United Nations mediation advisor, Emmanuel Bombande. He says heads of various religious groups must begin to speak against vigilante groups. He says that is the only way they can contribute towards the preservation of Kofi Annan's legacies.
What he's asking us is that Ghana must be an example and continue to be the beacon of democracy and peace. The contradiction is we cannot do that when we are tolerant of vigilante groups in political parties, when there is rancor, hatred, division in our political competition. Remove intolerance, remove vigilante groups, and respect one another. The voices of our moral society, the leaders of our mosques and churches must begin to talk against vigilante groups and refuse to be tolerant of these groups.
Former boss of the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Emil Short, says Kofi Annan had special conflict resolution skills.
He rose from the ranks of the UN to become the UN Secretary General, and he discharged his leadership with excellence. He had exceptional conflict resolution skills.
Meanwhile, the Asantehene Otumfuo Tutu II has paid glowing tribute to the late former United Nations Secretary General, describing him as the world's moral compass. Otumfuo, in a speech, said the late UN boss was indispensable. He also explained why he conferred the title Busumuru on Kofi Annan in 2012. Here is Ashanti Mamponghene Dasibre Nana Osie Bonsu II reading the tribute on behalf of Otumfuo on Wednesday.
Because of his monumental achievements as an international civil servant, Busumuru became a ready source of inspiration, a dogged advocate, and an unwavering champion of peace and security, development, human rights, and rule of law. A consummate mediator, Busumuru touched many lives with his graciousness, charisma, and commitment to the pursuit of worthy causes, crying for global attention. It was in recognition of his humility, selflessness, and great contribution to humanity and the promotion of peace that on 16th August 2002, I conferred on him the title Busumuru, that is the son of the golden stool. Golden stool, embodiment of the soul of the Asante mind and Asante nation. Busumuru is the name of the golden sword used by Asante kings to swear allegiance to the Asante kingdom at their coronation. Although captured in war, it is considered holy and not used for war. And given the significance of the sword, it was fitting that he, Kofi Annan, was the first to be granted that title since the foundation of the Asante Kingdom in the 17th century. Kofi Annan was the embodiment of peace.
And stay tuned to Joy News, your official TV station, for the live coverage of the final funeral rites of the late Kofi Annan, which comes off on Thursday, that's tomorrow. Now, papers from licensure examination organized by the National Teaching Council reportedly leaked on Wednesday after a similar report on Monday. The numeracy skills paper, which was the last of the 3-day examination, was allegedly leaked Tuesday night before teachers sat for the paper Wednesday. Selinam Ampo was at the Accra College of Education and is a wrap of events.
The maiden examination of a teacher's licensure exams drew several protests, especially from teacher trainees. The 3-day exercise, which started on Monday, ended on Wednesday. Information gathered by Joy News indicates some teachers before the examination had received images of a question paper on their social media platforms. The external examiner at the center, Lord Caesar, stated the officials of the National Teaching Council temporarily withheld the examinations to enable them change the questions.
We had information that some of the questions are out there and the candidates are seriously working towards that. So immediately NTC had to put some steps around to curb the situation. That's what has caused the delay.
How was the situation curbed?
We quickly organized a new set of questions that all the colleges of education in the whole country where the centers are, they are all trying as much as possible to start the same time as we are doing now. It got to some of our directors and they were able to identify that really some of the questions are out there, so we have to do something as early as possible.
He explained that the NTC, although had challenges, is looking forward to improving the examination process for the teachers.
From the start of the licensure examination, that is the process, there were heckles here, but still NTC has stayed tough and is still trying to make it better. And I'm very sure that looking at these few challenges that we had, from going forward, we'll make sure that we do more of the education so that we get understanding very well before the start of the examination.
Some teachers admitted to receiving some sample questions and expressed their frustrations at delays and difficulty of the questions.
Well, it was more difficult than we expected. Since there were no section A or multiple choice questions, it was totally written. And we were a bit frustrated from the beginning because the time they gave us, it came late. We were supposed to start at 9, but due to one or two reasons which they later on put as the papers were leaked, so we need to move out of the exam room.
In my opinion, it was a purely practical exams. Because if you've not taught before, if you've not experienced teaching before, it's very difficult for you to answer such questions. And for us who haven't really gone into the teaching field, this exams proved very difficult for us. Some questions did leak, but the questions that we met in the hall, for example, the first paper, I saw some, but it was not what came in the examinations.
It's not stressed, I'm bored because the whole thing looks unprepared and it's very, very frustrating. I heard that it was leaked. That was when we went to the room this morning about 9:15 and we thought it was going to start. We sat there for about 30 minutes and were told that we had to go out.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all because we had some samples of questions. We Googled online and everything, but we realized that the questions were changed. It wasn't easy. We just had to do our best so that we can pass.
Now, the Asante Mampo Nursing and Midwifery Training School is experiencing an acute shortage of accommodation for students due to the large student population intake. Over 1,000 students now reside outside campus, a move affecting academic and everyday activities. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
This room has only 3 double beds and some chop boxes and bags. It is one of many hostels built just a mile away from the school by private developers. 20-year-old Faustina Apia and her colleagues reside here. This seems like the only option for Faustina and her friends because the college has inadequate accommodation.
You are here to learn. You may try to learn over here, but a friend would not allow you. Someone may be here making noise. You yourself, you will sleep. And those types, everyone also have his or her own character. Someone may be making noise, someone will be able to learn, but for me, I wouldn't be able. You have to manage and go to campus to learn. It's not all that comfortable, but you have to manage. Sex in the room and also like using the washroom, but you have to manage for that.
They had to walk to and from these private hostels every night to the college's campus to study. Living outside campus, according to the students, comes with multiple challenges, including security concerns. Some students confirm they have lost personal belongings to burglars. The news team took a walk with few of the students at night.
Okay, so currently these are students coming back from prep. Ideally, prep is supposed to close at 9 o'clock, but because of the situation, the darkness, they are coming back from prep. You can't stay on campus.
We were two walking and a small boy, and we wasn't, and I think the guy may be around the age of 14, yes, and he was like, give us your phone. He was holding a knife. You have nothing to do rather than put your phone down, and then he will take the phone and walk majestically back.
Some time ago, one of our students was attacked on her way coming back to the hostel, and it's so much stressful and those types. It's too risky for us. It's dangerous. We met guys, you are at risk of certain things, so many things. Even not like taking off our phones and those types, our lives are also in danger. So that
you mentioned about snakes and all that. Have you ever seen some?
Yes, I have. I was very frightened, and also we were walking into. So we didn't know what to do. We don't know whether to come back to the hostel or use another route to the campus. So we're just standing, waiting for the snake to bypass, and we're just screaming while standing. Ah, snake! You know how ladies act when they see snakes.
Several other female students have been attacked and their phones and other valuables taken from them. This is the college's hostel. It was built under first President Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to accommodate 200 students. But the college authorities say the structure is dilapidated and therefore needs immediate renovation. This parcel of land also belongs to the college, but efforts to construct a 1,500 capacity bed hostel to accommodate students have proved futile.
We have a piece of land behind the library, just here, behind this building. That one has been earmarked to build a hostel who can take 1,500 capacity, in addition to the 200 old government hostel. So if you are able to do that, I think we will solve some of the problems. Most of the problems will be solved. But then we'll be able to control the students.
Students like Faustina have had to pay up to 6 times the amount paid at the college's hostel to secure space at the private facilities.
As students, you're not supposed to pressure yourself on certain things, and because the money is not there, you are forcing yourself to get money. When the money is not there, you are supposed to stay in the house. And before I came, lectures has already commenced, and I was a little bit late in certain things. I would have to ask my friends and stuff. It was a little bit stressful for me, but I have no option because there's no choice for you.
They pay 650 for the whole year, 2 semesters. And it looks as if they pay. So the government one is 80 cedis.
The students want appropriate agencies to intervene and provide more accommodation facilities for the college. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report.
And I'm Marba Kumsi. From me and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. And remember, this is the station to stay tuned to. This is your official station for the coverage of the final funeral rites of the late UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. And tomorrow we'll be giving you live coverage throughout the day. Stay tuned and good night.
This is Joy News Prime.